We're ready for the start. They're off.
Welcome in, everybody, to the First Call podcast. Jeremy Plonk, Jeff Siegel from Express Bet and First Bet. The first racing tour rolls on this week. Big weekend in the Pegasus World Cup last Saturday at Gulfstream Park. Now a big weekend on two coasts as we have Triple Crown preps at Santa Anita and at Gulfstream Park this weekend. Jeff's here to talk all about it, coming off a Bruins victory last night. So you probably slept well and you're raring to go.
I am. I did a lot of handicapping in the second half. Speaking of sleeping during the game, we didn't play well. We won, so I guess it's cool. But I tell you what, I am very, very optimistic about this week. So we handicap the stakes races, and we handicap the races that are sort of like given to us. But this week we've got great racing at Gulfstream Park and Santa Anita, and I think the 8-race sequence that we have here today, to me, very appealing, very, very challenging, but I'm really optimistic we're going to bounce back and have a great week. So I'm laying that out up front. The expectations are high, so we'll see what happens, but I'm looking forward to this week more than usual.
And to sweeten the pot with First Bet and Express Bet this weekend, you get a $10 money back special on win bets on all of these stakes races we're going to talk about on the podcast. All the stakes races Saturday at Gulfstream and at Santa Anita have that $10 money back special. So if your win bet finishes second or third, you'll get up to your $10 bet back into your account in the form of wagering credits after the fact. So take a shot. This is a good weekend to play some straight win bets. It's also a good weekend to take some win bets against Tom Quigley. He's the host and beat the host this week, the weekly Express Bet handicapping contest. It's week 5 of 8 of the tournament that runs through the end of February. Tom Quigley, your opponent this weekend. Of course, he's the Quigley's Corner if you follow him on Twitter, and he's throwing out some smack this week. So be sure to try to take down Tom. I say undress him out of one of those Hawaiian shirts that he likes to wear. I was joking that, but he's going to have fun with it this weekend. He's a good handicapper, so your challenge is great, taking him on and beat the host. But be sure to check out all the tournament action this weekend at Express Bet. We also have a $1,500 tournament if you're into the live money contest, $1,000 of live money, $500 into the prize pool. It's all paid back on Saturday. Races from Gulfstream and Santa Anita in that first racing tour handicapping challenge. So be sure to check out all the promos, all of the great racing tournament action this weekend at Express Bet and First Bet. But to get you there, you need some winners. If you're not going to do it completely on your own, we're here to help in that regard. So, Jeff, let's get to our handicapping exercises this week. We've got 8 races on the docket for Saturday, February the 4th. We're going to start things out with the Swale for the 3-year-olds at Gulfstream. We'll keep it all 3-year-olds really early in the day. Kitten's Joy for the 3-year-old Turfers, the Forward Gal for the 3-year-old Fillies, and the Swedish Chant for the older fillies and mares on the turf, the Holy Bull for the Triple Crown aspirants in the South Florida area. Then we'll go to Santa Anita for the Megahertz on turf, the Santa Monica on the main track, and the Thunder Road with a big field on the turf to wrap it up. Now, several of those races, 5 of them in fact, make up this week's Coast to Coast Pick 5 wager. Coast to Coast Pick 5 has been paying out splendidly. Low takeout, 15%, dollar minimum. These are all stakes races, races 10, 11, and 12 from Gulfstream, races 4 and 10 from Santa Anita. For the first time, the Coast to Coast Pick 5 will be an all stakes Pick 5. So be sure to check that out. Brian Natto from Gulfstream Park and Jeff will provide some handicapping videos for you on social media over the course of the next couple of days on those Coast to Coast Pick 5s for Saturday. And again, that wager offered on Sunday. So it's going to be a great slate, Jeff. Let's get to handicapping the Swale Stakes, 7 furlongs on the main. This used to be on Florida Derby Day. This was a race prep leading into the Florida Derby over the years. Now it's kind of just been for sprinters. We haven't seen trainers old school use the Swale as a projection forward. This is a race where you might have gotten an easy goer back in the day, a horse like that trying to run 7/8 old school off the bench. We don't get that much anymore. So we're expecting these horses to be sprinters. Which of them do you think's fleetest on Saturday?
Well, Super Chow is going to get a lot of action. He's won 5 out of 6. He's 6 to 5 in the morning line. He's a good horse for sure.
Right.
Numbers-wise, he's not all that fast, though. In his most recent race, which was a listed stakes race called the Limehouse, he won the race at even money, or essentially that. But he was drifting out the final eighth of a mile. Visually, he wasn't all that impressive, but he is outside, so he can sit just outside if he wants. But he's one of these horses I think you just have to let roll. I think that's the way it goes. And going 7/8 of a mile, I'm a little bit skeptical, especially at a short price. The horse that I like is number 1, General Jim. This is a Shug McGahee colt by Into Mischief. He was in the Mucho Macho Man, a race that kind of fell apart in the final furlong. But he was behind horses. He didn't get a clear run. I also think that he was used down the backstretch, and I think you want to grab him and take a hold and make one run, which may be a little bit problematic from the rail going 7/8, but I think that's the way he wants to run. And Shug putting blinkers on him. This is generally a pretty good maneuver and angle for Shug McGahee. I don't think that necessarily says they're going to gun him out of there. I think he just needs to focus. And I think with the pace situation, I would love to see General Jim just kind of settle, come out of the gate, sit 4th, 5th, or whatever he wants to, and then blast home. And I think if he's ridden that way by Louis Saez, remains to be seen if he will, but if that's the way he gets his trip, I think General Jim will wear him down. I like number 1, General Jim. He's 5-2 in the morning line. I think that's a good number. I'll take it if I can get it. Number 1, General Jim, from off the pace to win the Swale.
Now, you mentioned in the Mucho Macho Man, he was in behind horses and had a little bit of traffic, that sort of thing. Let's take a look at the stretch run of the Mucho Macho Man. We have that for the fans, and you'll see General Jim. I believe he's 1 path off the rail. He's the 5 horse in here.
Getting ready to angle on the favorite, General Jim. He's in position 2nd. Dreaming of Kona is back to 3rd. Then Laver and Il Miracolo. Lord Miles and Mr. Bob are next, and they're at the top of the stretch. Legacy Isle turns for home on top. Spieth wouldn't let Saez out on General Jim. He's trying to muscle into the clear. 1/8 of a mile to go. Jaramillo trying to get one more furlong from Legacy Isle. He's still in front. Dreaming of Kona's dead game and surging to him. Dreaming of Kona tries to reach Legacy Isle. Legacy Isle digs in to win it.
So we'll check it out and see if the trip gets a little bit less frantic inside like that. He is from the rail. He's going to come from off the pace. But again, this could be a different kind of setup and situation in this race. Smaller field, 11 in the Mucho Macho Man, just 5 rivals in here. Could make for a cleaner trip. Clean trip, right style. He's got the setup.
I think so. Jeremy, that was trouble, but the race was lost at the end of the far turn because that's when they started riding him. You don't want that with this colt. Just take a hold, make one run. If he gets that kind of trip, I think he can win. General Jim.
Let's go next to the Kitten's Joy Stakes. Kitten's Joy at Gulfstream Park is race number 9 on Saturday. 1 mile and a 16th for the Kitten's Joy. Purse here is $175,000. We'll see some of these horses perhaps make the trip to Turfway for the Jeff Ruby over the years. We've seen the Kitten's Joy produce horses that try to get on the Triple Crown Trail through the synthetic path. Certainly could see something, maybe make a switch over to Tampa Bay for the Tampa Bay Derby or towards the Florida Derby Series still. There is time, even though there are turf horses now. Jeff, you're only 3 once. We say it a million times, and this time of year we say it every single week on the show. But, hey, they're going to try to get to the Kentucky Derby with any 3-year-old who's got a good amount of talent. Candidate is a horse who you and I identified before his previous start as very talented, and he delivered in the Dania Beach Stakes. He's back in the speed on the rail here in the Kitten's Joy. Let's let the fans see that Dania Beach last time where he was so impressive.
After 3 quarters in 1:11.3, Candidate left alone, and he's got a kick. He brilliantly kicked off the corner. He established a 4-length lead at that stage, and now he's looking good. Major Dude tries to catch him on the money. Here comes Major Dude after Candidate. Candidate close to home. Major Dude second. Candidate in front. Major Dude was second. Third was Worthington. Fourth was Congruent.
Well, they say you don't want to miss the wedding and go to the funeral in horse racing. We didn't miss the wedding, right? I mean, we got him at 7-1. He's not going to be 7-1 any longer. I mean, he is a well-known commodity now. I think Candidate will be favored in this particular spot. He's back against Major Dude. The fans could stick with Major Dude here again. He was even money last time. It was kind of closing on the back end, a little more distance, so maybe people think this is the time where, Major Dude can get him. I still think that race was impressive enough that Candidate's going to get hammered in here now. Do you like him back again, or are you going to try to switch things up?
I don't see any reason why he can't win again. It's an extra half furlong to work with, but he wasn't getting tired. In fact, after the race, if you watch the gallop out, he was like way in front. So
Right.
he wasn't tired. In fact, he came home so fast, 23 flat from the quarter pole home. From the inside draw, I don't see any reason why he won't make the lead again.
No.
What we saw that video, we saw a Major Dude coming, trying to make up ground, but he really didn't. And you go back and watch the race in its entirety, what you will find is Major Dude had an absolutely perfect trip. He was sitting, saving ground right behind the leader. And when it took time to accelerate, when that turn of foot was required, Canada just spurted clear. I don't think Major Dude's got that acceleration. So they may try to lay a little closer with Major Dude than last time, but I don't think it's going to matter. I mean, Canada is a 3-year-old colt. He's only had the 4 starts. His numbers have risen with every start. 86 buyer last time out on grass is very, very good. I don't see a reason why he won't win again. Now, you mentioned about you're only 3 once, and it's going to be tempting for them to stay on grass if he wins this, but based on pedigree, there's no reason why he won't win on dirt. So the only dirt race he had was on the slop. That doesn't count. So I like Candidate. I mean, it's 3-1 in the morning line, Jeremy. If they give me 3-1, I'm going.
Yeah, and he still gets weight from Major Dude in this spot. You know, he just beat him head up. Dude in Colorado's entered in here for Pletcher. Did go wire to wire from the 11 hole last time on the main track in a race washed off, but it wasn't fast paced. You know, I don't know that he's fast enough that Pletcher might say, you go with Candidate and try to soften him up a little bit and help Major Dude in here. I don't think that's kind of the situation. Not a lot of places you can go with a daylight maiden special weight winner this time of year. So they're going to give Dude in Colorado a chance to run in stakes company here. I don't think he's in here just to be a rabbit, but he's ridden by Saez, who could be aggressive early in the race. Wouldn't be surprised if the 6 is the horse who goes up with the 1 Candidate, but from speed, rail, and we know this horse is, you know, really gets over the turf well. I don't see any reason why Candidate doesn't go wire to wire in a mile and a 16th either. I'm with you on this one for the second straight week, but we're probably going to get something closer to 2-1 than 7-1 this time around, I would have to think. Let's go to the schedule and take a look at what's next at Gulfstream Park on Saturday. It's race number 10. Forward Gal Stakes, grade 3, 7 furlongs here. These are fillies who could be on the Kentucky Oaks Trail. They're still trying to get their distance stamina underneath them. A field of 10 at Gulfstream in the 10th. Who do you like, Jeff?
This is a good race, actually. Looking at the field, I was kind of curious to see who would be morning line favorite. It's actually I believe it's number 3 atomically, if I'm not mistaken. This is a filly that I actually gave a little bit of a long shot look to in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies because I was visually very impressed with her 3 races at Gulfstream Park, including the maiden race which was at this 7 furlong distance. She then stretched out and won a Florida bred race. And then in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, she didn't run terrible. It wasn't awful, but it wasn't up to what I thought she could do. Now she's back going 7/8 with Pletcher and Ortiz. I do think she's a contender. But I went back and watched the race at Aqueduct on the maiden race, undervalued asset for Chad Brown. She won that race by 8 1/4. The number was just average, but I don't think that really tells his tale there. She was part of the pace. She was just kind of galloping along, an easy pace. And then, she was asked to accelerate, and that's what you wanted to see. Big, good-looking daughter of Speightstown. I don't think she used 50% of her natural talent to win that race. She'll obviously have to extend herself in this one. But, man, I mean, she's got the perfect style for 7 furlongs. She's not speed crazy at all, but she can quicken on a dime, and that's what I wanted to see. I think undervalued asset for Chad Brown is a real comer, and I think she can outclass this field. So it's 7-2 in the morning line. I'll take it. That's number 7, undervalued asset to win the Forward Gal.
She's one of 6 last out winners in the race. Horses coming off victories. So field in good form. And while the Swale is also 7 furlongs for the 3-year-olds, this is the sister race, if you will, the Forward Gal, 7 furlongs for the 3-year-old fillies. The Swale does not feel like a Triple Crown prep at all. This does feel like a Kentucky Oaks prep. There are Kentucky Oaks type fillies, pedigrees, connections that would be aiming toward that sort of race. So race 10, Saturday at Gulfstream, the Forward Gal, one you definitely want to keep an eye on on the path towards the Kentucky Oaks. Let's go to the 11th race, the Swedish Chant on Saturday at Gulfstream. This is a grade 3 turf race at 1 mile and a 16th. 3-year-old fillies in here. I think I said older than fillies and mares when we went over the schedule. It's all about the 3-year-olds, whether it's turf, dirt, short, or long. Saturday in the stakes races at Gulfstream. The Swedish Chant, Jeff, race number 11. This has a field of 9. Who are you looking at in this one?
Well, I remember Heavenly Sunday when she ran at Keeneland, and I had watched the video of her win at Indiana. Now, Indiana is not Keeneland, But I watched it. I said to myself after watching that race, and she won the race by 7, I said, oh, my God, that's a good filly. That's a good filly. And she came to Keeneland. She was knocked down the favorite. I thought maybe she'd go off in 4 or 5 to 1 because it was from Indiana. And Jeremy, I mean, I don't know about you, but boy, was I impressed. She came right back and did it again for Brad Cox. She looked like a good filly.
Yeah, let's let the fans see for themselves.
Move to the stretch. Heavenly Sunday to the inside. Star Wisher is there, and Heavenly Sunday is moving up the rail. Heavenly Sunday finds an opening and just runs right up the rail to the lead. Heavenly Sunday in front by a widening 3-length margin. Heavenly Sunday and Florent Giroux to win it.
That's the way you like to see them skip over the turf. There's not a lot of time on the ground. Those feet are up and down, and she really skipped over it. The one thing about Brad Cox, and I like the time of year is not going to help you. And you say, why didn't you tell me then? We were on some of this in the fall with the Keeneland stats that we do. When Brad Cox breaks a maiden at Indiana Grand, those horses come back and win at a very strong percentage next time. So the horses he's breaking maidens with at Indiana aren't just being sent there because they're his B team. These are actually really productive type runners. So ones you want to keep an eye on, she being one of those. Heavenly Sunday, Jeff's top pick here in the Swedish Chant. Anything else you like underneath her, Jeff? Or is this one of those you're going to try to get 2, 3 to 1 and see what you can get?
No, this is a win play for me. The rest of these, they look what they are. They are what they are. But one thing about that video, if you want to go back and look at it again, I mean, she never felt the whip. I mean, she came through inside. She quickened mostly on her own. She took the lead instantaneously, and then the jock kind of mild coaxing at the end. I think this is a filly that's going to be a really good filly. Now, she's by Candy Ride and out of a Giants Causeway mare. Again, is this one that you maybe say, okay, I know that she's grass, but yeah, maybe we'll try her in the dirt down the road. So it'll be interesting to see if she wins this race. Whether or not now she will be a graded stakes winner, then maybe they can get a little creative. They've got the black type already in their hip pocket. Maybe they can try her on dirt. I don't know how she trains on dirt, but I'm looking at her works at fairgrounds. They look fine to me. So it'll be interesting to see how far she can climb up that ladder. But I like her very much in the Swedish Chant.
Brad Cox will have something for the Kentucky Oaks. We know that for sure. He'll have plenty to pick from. Right. Let's go back to the schedules and see what we're looking at next. It's the Holy Bull Stakes at Gulfstream Park coming up on Saturday in race number 12. The Holy Bull, 20 Kentucky Derby qualifying points to the winner, then so forth down through 5th place. Grade 2 or grade 3 here, $250,000, $250,000. Holy Bull not as productive in the Kentucky Derby as a springboard as we see with the Fountain of Youth, and of course the Florida Derby being the most productive of all the Kentucky Derby preps all time. But this is farther out, and these horses are trying to make their way in that Florida Derby series before they can talk the first Saturday in May. Jeff, several of these horses coming back out of the Mucho Macho Man Stakes, the 1-turn mile. We saw the Mucho Macho Man on video earlier in the podcast already with the General Jim cutting back in that stakes race. A couple of the horses coming back in this race out of the Mucho Macho Man include the horse who hit the wire first, Legacy Isle, drifted and ended up being disqualified. Nobody's beaten Legacy Isle to the wire in 3 races yet. What do you make of this horse stretching out 2 turns for the first time? Son of Preakness winner Shackelford. But before the Preakness and before he got to that point, Shackelford was, felt more like a sprinter. He ended up being a very good sprinter. Can we get 2 turns out of Legacy Isle in this spot, or do you not like him today?
I'm going to gamble against him because primarily for 2 reasons. Number one, he is by Shackelford. Although I always say, if you're going to route, if you don't want to route, you probably will the first time you try it. So, and Legacy Isle is a fast cold for sure. That race in the Mucho Macho Man, the 45-1 of the half, they finished out in 37-2. That means they went the second half of that race about 35 lengths slower than the first half. And I'm looking for plenty of pace in this race. The horse that I think can actually sit back a little bit and make a run, and is the one that I'm picking, is number 4, Cyclone Mischief, who earned a really good number in Victory. And you got to go back and watch his race, because I love the way he won it. He didn't go to the front. He took dirt. He was down on the inside, took dirt and settled, relaxed, found room, went off to the leaders, and then cut to the inside. And I love the way he won. And he's already won 2 turning. That to me is important. So I think and this Dale Romans train code, I think Gaffleon's going to grab him, let the speed go, sit, and make a run similar to the way he won that allowance race. Right. Visually, I thought this was an impressive win, and I think it carries him over and allows him to win the Holy Bull.
Let's go back to Pete Aiello's call, January 8th, of Cyclone Mischief and allowance company.
As they come past the quarter pole, it's Cyclone Mischief who comes away with the lead. Litigate is now second. Rudder's Men is tamely backing away. Mr. Ripple did too much too soon, and they're at the top of the stretch. Cyclone Mischief with the kick. He's an 1/8 of a mile from home and now 2.5 on top. Litigate second. Mr. Ripple is third. Final 16th of a mile, and Cyclone Mischief is getting away. Nice performance here from the son of Into Mischief. Cyclone Mischief is in front.
He looks like Shackelford, and he's the one who's going against the horses by Shackelford.
Right.
Got that body, and the Dale Romans trainee. And Cyclone Mischief, the 2 turns not going to be an issue. He ran at Keeneland, won around 2 turns already. The race that he ran was a decent one in the Kentucky Jockey Club. He was up closer that day and faded, but he only got beat 2 3/4 lengths. Kentucky Jockey Club's already come back and being a very live race with the comp winner in there as well. So
right, and that was a false pace in that race. I don't know. They went 3/4 in 15. I'm not. Maybe that wasn't what he wanted. Maybe he wanted to use his tactical speed.
Yeah,
that video we just saw. It looked like he was on the lead every step of the way. He was not. He was behind horses early, and then came around and grabbed control. So, if that had been a gate to wire win, I would be a little suspicious, a little bit. But the way he took that dirt early on, I think that he'll settle and make a run. And if he's going to be a Derby horse, this is the kind of race he has to win.
Now I'm going to go completely into left field on my pick in this race. The Holy Bull, I'm going with a horse who may be the longest shot on the board. He's 20-1 in the morning line, Il Miracola. And I'm going to make the case. We talked about that race in the Mucho Macho Man. It was really fast early and then slowed down late. He was one pace throughout that whole thing. And I just kept watching him in that race and saying, okay, when's he going to come? When's he going to come? When's he going to come? And he ended up backing up a little bit at the end because it was so fast early. This is a one-paced horse who in a race like this that has a decent pace in front of him, I think around 2 turns is going to be the key for him. He is just going to sit back and he is going to run 24s all the way around the track. And that can be an effective move, not in a 1-turn mile. That's not going to get you anywhere. But in a 2-turn race like this that has some pace, he just looks like a steady grinder. And he's obviously a horse who's won over the track successfully at Gulfstream, enough to the point that Antonio Sano thought that this gun runner was good enough to try the Remsen Stakes. He didn't run well that day. He was overmatched. Maybe he didn't handle the trip, the slop. He was taken up. He had all kinds of trouble in that race. If we just draw a line through that, I just think this is a horse who's going to run one pace all the way around. And those horses who in the Mucho Macho Man were in front of him, I think they're all going to come back to him around 2 turns. I think this race might end up in his lap at some point. And at 20-1 plus, I'm willing to take the gamble there. It's Sano, it's Leonel Reyes. They're not going to bet these connections in this kind of race. So I think we're going to get the price in here. I think you have the right horse, Cyclone Mischief, as the most talented horse in the race and the most likely winner. But I think Il Miracola at a big price is intriguing in here. So I'm going to tap your old partner on this one. I'm gonna like rub the Aaron Vercruyze lucky long shot rabbit's foot in this one. This is the kind of pick Aaron would have made in the day. But I like him. This is a horse who, if not for the Remsen, his form looks a heck of a lot better. And I say in that last race, he was chasing too fast of a pace, but he's just kind of a one-geared horse. So we'll see. We'll take our chance. You don't have to bet much to get a lot in this particular spot.
No.
Okay. Let's change up and head to Santa Anita for our next group of races as we handicap here. 3 stakes races on Saturday at the Great Race Place. There is also a 4th stakes race. It's the Bob Lewis also known as the Bob Baffert Invitational. He's got all 4 entrants in that race. I'm going to assume Arabian Lion's going to be and Wooster are going to be 2 in there that are going to be the ones to topple. So let's take our handicapping skills to the megahertz, a much different handicapping challenge. This is a turf mile in the megahertz. Good size field here in this race again. Part of that coast-to-coast pick 5. Jeff, race number 4, the megahertz, named for the excellent Bobby Frankel turf filly. What do you make of this one?
This is a race that's going to have a ton of speed. And any race that has Hamwood Flyer in it is going to have a hot pace. She's got only one way to go. 2 races back, she won the swing time over this course and distance, got loose in the lead and ran fast. You can't rate her, so you just blast out there and hope that on one breath she can carry her speed. Didn't last time, but that's a pretty good filly who ran her down, so I don't feel too bad about that one. Regal Glory. So she's going to ensure a fast pace. Base Storm will be up there with her, or try to. Maybe they'll take her back and sit second or third and allow Hamwood Flyer to get loose and then try to wear her down late. The one that I like is Closing Remarks. I actually, she came off a long layoff. She was second to Queen Goddess last time out, and the Queen Goddess verified the strength of that form by winning out in Florida. And of course, she was 4th to Queen Goddess before that last March. But Closing Remarks, I thought, ran really well in this race, even though she didn't win, and even though she couldn't catch the leader. I'm talking about the Frankel. I think she's going to build on that race today, especially with the race shape a little bit different. I think Closing Remarks at 7-2 for Carla Gaines can win. I really do, and I like her in this race as a gamble.
Let's go back and take a look at the Frankel, where she was chasing in pursuit of Queen Goddess, that impressive next out winner.
A 1/4 mile to go, and Queen Goddess in complete command has a 4-length lead turning for home. Closing Remarks chasing gamely from second, an 1/8 to run, and Queen Goddess with a 3-length lead. Closing Remarks, Avenue de France on the outside, Quattro El Resurgent, but a no doubt about it victory for Queen Goddess, who dominates the Robert J. Frankel. Closing Remarks was second.
Jeff, I like in videos like that when that second horse doesn't just give it up, right? They don't have their spirit broken. There's a really talented horse who they just can't get to. A lot of horses are just going to chuck the towel in at that point and get passed by a few. She held on, not only held second, but maintained that margin back to the rest of the field, almost the exact identical margin the entire length of the stretch. That shows me she ran her race. She just ran into one better that particular day, and that's highly explainable, being that Queen Goddess came back and ran so well down at Gulfstream next time out. So Hamwood Flyer, you would think, is not going to be as tough on the front as Queen Goddess was.
No. And if you look at Closing Remarks, look at who she's run with. Queen Goddess last time, Queen Goddess 3-4, Legs Galore, who was really good before that. Queen Goddess again. I mean, enough of going global. I'll get it out. So this is not that level of competition. In the second off a layoff with a bullet 46-3, fastest of 74 on the dirt, and she's not a dirt horse. To me, it tells me Closing Remarks very, very good. I'll use her on top, but I'll also, Hamwood Flyer is always dangerous. You can roll all the way to the wire. And then one other horse I'll throw in if you want to, save with her. Number 3, Nadette, who was a closing second behind subsequent American Oaks winner Rhea Moon in her U.S. debut for Neil Drysdale. She was a stakes quality filly, and she really picked it up. If you look at the race shape of that last race in the autumn miss during the fall meeting, 47-1 for the first half, 47-1 for the second half, and she rallied from way back to finish second. She really was picking it up. So give her a chance in a fast-paced race, maybe to make the last run as well. It's a good race, but I like who I like. Closing Remarks.
Closing Remarks, and key that one over the others. And the exotics, maybe a chance to hit exact the try type ticket in the which race that was, the megahertz stakes. So let's go next up to Santa Anita's 9th race on the card. It's the Santa Monica. Now we're on the main track here. 7 furlongs. This is a $200,000 grade 2. For a long time, the Santa Monica used to be America's first grade 1 race run every year. It's not a grade 1 anymore, but it used to be in January, and it's the first grade 1 race of the year. This race has a long and good history to it, Jeff, and we don't have a superstar in this field, but the La Brea winner, Fun to Dream, comes off a nice victory, and she's looking to make it 2 graded stakes in a row and 4 wins in a row overall. Do you like Fun to Dream or somebody else?
Well, I really liked Awake at Midnight last time out when they ran against each other over this track and distance in the Grade 1 La Brea. That was on opening day, and I got to tell you, I have no complaints because Awake at Midnight had every chance. And I give credit to Fun to Dream. I really do, because Fun to Dream was, under pressure, didn't get an easy lead, opened up, and then when Awake at Midnight came to her, I thought Awake at Midnight was going to get her, and Fun to Dream found reserve energy that I didn't know she had. She's won 5 out of 6. I should have known she had it because she won again, and they meet again. There's a little bit of a weight shift here, 4 pounds, but I don't put that much stock and weight when it comes to quality horses, grade type horses. They seem that they kind of shrug it off. A cheaper horse, yeah, maybe. But Fun to Dream, I'm not sure 4 pounds is going to stop her, but I do think these are the two again. Maybe this is the beginning of a rivalry. I don't know, but Fun to Dream's got a little bit more tactical speed in the race. It probably will be slowly run early. But that win in the La Brea to me was visually it really showed me a lot.
Well, let's take a look. Let's turn back the clock to the La Brea on December 26th, opening day of the meet, the classic meet at Santa Anita.
At the top of the stretch, and Fun to Dream is the leader. Awake at Midnight chasing with determination into second, followed by Ain't Easy in third. It's Fun to Dream digging in under Juan Hernandez. Awake at Midnight trying so hard. Fun to Dream, Awake at Midnight. Fun to Dream has won the Grade 1 La Brea.
Well, they met before back in a Lowndes Company. Now this will be the 3rd time we get to see Fun to Dream against Awake at Midnight. Should be the budding rivalry as the headline act in the Santa Monica. To the Thunder Road we go. It's race number 10 on the card Saturday at the Great Race Place. And this may be the best of the betting races of the stakes races. You've got a nice field size in here. Big field in the Thunder Road race 10. It is also the final leg of the Coast to Coast Pick 5 wager. As we review those Coast to Coast Pick 5 races again, you see the 10th at Santa Anita here. The Thunder Road will be the final race in that sequence. All stakes Pick 5 in the Coast to Coast Pick 5 this weekend. Jeff, how do you think we wrap up not only that wager, but the card at Santa Anita with the Thunder Road Stakes?
Here's another very difficult and challenging grass race. These horses, many of them know each other pretty well. But Air Force Red may be ready to perhaps separate himself from the pack. He's only had 10 starts. He's won 5 races. I love this about him, though. He's got 10 starts, 5 wins, no seconds, and no thirds. If he can't see you, he won't beat you. But if he's there, he's going to beat you so far. And, he doesn't hang or anything like that. And he's pretty versatile. He's won sprinting. He did that down the hill when he won the Joe Hernandez. He's won routing. He did that when he won the Lure back during the fall meeting. He's also won on the lead, but I don't think he's the kind of horse that necessarily needs the lead because he broke his maiden to sit in second or third. Now, he's been fast enough in subsequent races to make the lead. But if there's pace in this race, and I think Bob and Jackie will probably try to go, I don't think there's any problem with Air Force Red laying second. His numbers are rising. He doesn't pull. He doesn't run off or anything like that. He does exactly what the jock wants him to do. And I think Air Force Red, for trainer Leonard Powell, is ready to step up and be tough again. Now, he's not a single because when you have a race like this, all you need is a little bit of a slow start or something that can mess it up. I would also throw in number 10, Dark Shift. If you remember him from Royal Ascot, he won the Royal Hunt Cup, which is one of my favorite races because it's a straightaway mile with usually 30 horses in it. This one had 29. He won that. He came back. 29. Yeah, he came back again in a 21-horse field, and he got beat at neck when he finished third. And I thought he was the universal good thing when he showed up at Keeneland in the fall in what essentially was an allowance race. I'm saying, man, this horse is 4-1. How does he get beat? And Jeremy, you remember the race? He didn't really pick it up. You know, he was in a good spot, and he kind of stayed on, but he didn't have any quickening. But I don't know, maybe something went wrong that day there, or something happened off the ship that I wasn't aware of. I'm going to protect with him because I know if he runs back to his Royal Ascot form, not only based on what I saw visually, but based on his time form ratings, he absolutely can run with these horses. And he gets Frankie. So at 8-1, I'll throw him in. I might even throw in Hit the Road. Blinkers come off. Maybe that's why he didn't run well down the hill. I thought he would, or maybe he's just not a sprinter. But he's got some races that are good enough, and he loves Santa Anita, so throw him in at a price. But to me, Air Force Red and Dark Shift would be the ones that I probably would focus in on, and then we'll go from there.
Air Force Red, ridden again by Juan Hernandez. He was aboard when they won the Joe Hernandez. Let's take a look back at that.
They turn for home, and it's still Air Force Red with a 2-length lead. Laneway angles out to try and run him down in second. It's another 3 lengths back to the rest. It's still Air Force Red digging in tenaciously on the front end, and Air Force Red and Juan Hernandez take them coast to coast in the Joe Hernandez. Laneway, Gregorian Chant, followed by Smooth Like Straight and a late bid from Irideo to complete the super high five.
See if Jeff Siegel can get that one home for a second straight winner and wrap up the card with a winner in the Thunder Road Stakes. Now, these 8 stakes races are all part of a $10 money back specials we mentioned at the top of the podcast. With Express Bet and First Bet, when you bet win plays on Saturday in any of the stakes races at Gulfstream or Santa Anita, as part of the first racing tour, you get up to a $10 money back special. So if your win bet finishes second or third in any of those stakes races on Saturday at Gulfstream or Santa Anita, you'll get up to $10 of money back into your account on those win bets. Also want to remind you, it's Beat the Host on Saturday. Tom Quigley is in the catbird seat. Try to take him down for your share of $60,000 in seasonal and weekly prizes. Just 3 more weeks after this to qualify for the Beat the Host final week 6, 7, and 8 coming up down the road, but this is week 5 this week as we start the second half of the Beat the Host season. $1,500 first racing tour challenge, handicapping contest, live money contest is also on Saturday. Jeff, before we want to wrap up, I want to pass along a little bit of sad news in horse racing. The Midwestern sprinter who took on almost a bigger life in retirement than he did on the racetrack, Chindy, passed away yesterday at age 29. When I was a Cub chart caller for Equibase back in 1996, I charted Chindy's races at Remington Park. He was as white as a ghost then. I believe Chindy means ghost in one of the native languages. And he was a white ghost. And you know, as a chart caller and being new, you're like, anything that can help me identify a horse helps, especially when they're a big closer to pick them up. Chindy was the easiest horse ever to identify on the racetrack. And as he got older and older and older, he got whiter and whiter. But trainer Steve Hobby had him in his barn all the way through for Crest Ran Farm, the late Rand Ricks and his family's farm. And in retirement, he was a pony horse at Oaklawn Park all the way to the end. Age 29, still going to the racetrack every day. Chindy passed away yesterday. He's a horse in that part of the country who's absolutely beloved. He became a social media magnet as well. Just a fun horse. If you like closers who came from 20 out of it, you would have loved Chindy.
Well, I can tell you that age 29 for a horse, thoroughbred or any other horse, that's 100 years or more. That very few horses live, even the ones that are pampered and cared for on a daily basis, as I'm sure Chindy was. But you live to be 29 for a horse. That's better than par. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I remember handicapping, watching, and charting his races back in the day. It's hard to believe he's 29 when he passed away. But long and storied career in the mornings and accomplished racehorse on the track too. He made a lot of money on the track. Was a good stakes winning sprinter. So thoughts out to the folks who were close to Chindy and the fans out there who beloved him over the course of his career. That's going to wrap up this week's First Call podcast. Jeff and I will be back on Tuesday for It's Officials. We wrap up a big first racing tour weekend of stakes races. You've got the Triple Crown preps. We will not have the Triple Crown prep, the Withers Stakes this weekend at Aqueduct. Want to pass that note along. Racing canceled in the Northeast because of some severe temperatures, low temperatures, and high winds. So the Wither Stakes will be rescheduled from this Saturday, the 4th, to the 11th next week, February 11th at Aqueduct. So good luck to everybody playing this weekend. And on behalf of my partner, Jeff Siegel, and everybody with First Technologies, enjoy the first racing tour this weekend, and we'll be back to talk to you on Tuesday. Have a good one, everybody.